Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Olumide Macaulay. The highlights. President Bola Tinubu reads the Riot Act to members of his cabinet to either perform or resign. Charges them on homegrown solutions. Leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress accuse the police of complicity in the attack on their members in Imo State. And Chief of Defense Staff warns soldiers against serving selfish purposes of desperate politicians ahead of the November off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states. We start with the President's Riot Act, which he read to the cabinet members to either perform or leave. President Bola Tinubu charged the members on performance and warned them against sending the clog in the wheel of progress for Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu made the declaration at the 2023 cabinet retreat taking place in the State House Conference Center, Abuja. He also made it clear that he's determined to succeed and encourage his team to come up with homegrown solutions to the challenges facing the country.
The bold endeavor is only achieved through courage, determination, and focused leadership. We are going through the reform painfully, and we still have other challenges. Don't be a clog in the wheel of Nigerian progress. Let us look forward. Let us be determined that corruption will go. Progress will be achieved. Better wages for our workers. Living wages. And that is why we established Resort Delivery Unit. At the end of this retreat, they are going to sign a bond of understanding between you, the ministers, the permanent secretary, and myself. If you miss the objective, we'll review. If no performance, you leave us. No one is an island. And the buck stopped on my desk.
President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, now to Imo State, where the national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ejiro, has been freed by the police, who described his arrest as protective custody. Mr. Ejiro was arrested at the secretariat of the NLC in Imo State while he was about to lead an Occupy Imo protest in Owerri, the state capital, on the grounds that the state government is owing workers salaries, pensions, and had allegedly sacked some of them. According to the police, Mr. Ejiro disobeyed an existing order of the National Industrial Court restraining the NLC and the TUC from carrying out any protest in Imo State. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have accused the police of overseeing the brutalization of its president, Comrade Joe Ejiro, who is said to have currently been hospitalized. The Labour leaders, in a statement co-signed by the General Secretaries of the NLC and the TUC, note that Mr. Ejiro was released after being brutalized by thugs while the police looked on. According to the union leader, the Labour leader was beaten up and blindfolded before being moved to an unknown location with his phones and other personal effects taken from him. The statement adds that Mr. Ejiro had visited the Imo State Secretariat where some members of the NLC who'd gathered had allegedly been harassed and attacked as well. The union condemned the attack, saying in their words, "This is mind-boggling and unacceptable in sane societies. The use of violence against innocent citizens, especially against trade union leaders by the state, has unfortunately become the norm. It's a new normal that may cause our nation dearly if people are allowed to get away with such violence and bloodletting. Now, the Labour leaders, however, say they are undeterred by the state of things and will not stop until their demands are met. Amongst other things, the national leadership of the NLC are asking the governor to honour his agreement with the union, respect the rights of workers, and pay their wages. But the twist now is that while the national leadership of the NLC is fighting for what they call the rights of IMO workers, the state leadership of the NLC says there's no reason for their members to join the protest. They even warned all workers in Imo State to shun the directives of the national body, citing an existing court order from the National Industrial Court, restraining the NLC and the TUC from embarking on any strike, action, or protest.
The court extended the interim injunction given to NLC to come and occupy IMO. So we want to advise, as a body organized labor, that workers of IMO State should go about their normal business based on the restraining order, interim injunction given by the court, that the occupying IMO is illegal. And the case was extended to 3rd of November. So based on that, every worker should move their normal business and base in their working places as law-abiding citizens. The workers of Imo State vehemently say no to their occupying Imo because we have not found reasons enough that will make them to come and occupy Imo.
Now, the twist now is that the national leadership of the NLC say they're fighting for what they call the rights of IMO workers, and we'll be speaking very shortly to the guests. We'll start with Mr. Declan Emelumba, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. Good afternoon and welcome.
Yeah.
The Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Imo State, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
What's your reaction to this attack on the president of the NLC, Joe Ajero, in your state on Wednesday?
Well, thank you for the question. I don't know. I wouldn't describe it as an attack or the way it's being painted. What is paramount, what is important is to note is that Joe Ajero, Comrade Joe Ajero, as the NLC president, had kept on insisting that there were issues to be settled in Imo State with the government over payment of wages and so on.
Okay,
and
sorry, I'm going to have to, pardon the interruption. You say you won't describe it as an attack, but the man was attacked, was brutalized, he was beaten. There's evidence to show that he was beaten. The police say they jumped in to protect him and that he's taken into protective custody for fear of his life. And you're saying that it was not an attack. Other members of the NLC were attacked as well. Their phones were taken, cars were smashed. If it's not an attack, then what is it?
I have not said it's not an attack. I said I wouldn't describe it as such, and I was giving you the background to my that statement. I was trying to give you the background before you cut in. What I'm saying is that the circumstances leading to that incident were very, very clear to everybody. First of all, the NLC president said he was coming to Imo to rescue workers. And the workers he said he was coming to rescue told him in very plain language, well, no, the government is not owing us. The government has not only continuously paid our salaries as and when due, but the government has even gone ahead to pay 13% salary. This government has promoted workers that were not promoted for over 12 years, has brought an insurance scheme for them and so many other welfare packages, including free transport if this had very high fuel error regime and so on. So now they said, don't come because we don't have a problem with the government. Besides, there is a court order restraining you from coming to Imo. But he insisted, and the workers kept warning him. So what I understood happened, that's where I came to. What I understood what happened was that because he insisted, some of the workers who were aggrieved, who felt that this NLC president was not showing civility by disobeying court order flagrantly, decided to resist his presence in the state. And yes, in the process, he was attacked. But if he had heeded to the advice, if he had
so you're saying that, I beg your pardon, Mr. Honorable Commissioner, so he was attacked by state members of the NLC, is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't know. I said
he just
workers,
said that.
aggrieved workers.
Aggrieved workers, were they the ones that attacked him and attacked other members of the NLC?
That is what we believe, because there was enough ground for that. The workers said, don't come here. Because
Honorable Commissioner,
cause problem for us where there is no problem.
Okay,
and
so
we
like
why the police, when they saw that the situation was getting out of hand, they went in to rescue him.
Okay, sir. Please hold on, Honorable Commissioner. Please hold on. Please hold on for us to bring in the General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress, Mr. Nuhu Toro, who is also standing by to speak with us. Please stay with us. Mr. Nuhu Toro, good afternoon. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Could you first tell us the state of health, the condition of Mr. Joe Ajero? We understand he's been freed by the police, but now he's in hospital, and also the condition of the other NLC workers that were attacked. Are they convalescent or still under treatment?
Yeah, they are still under treatment, and I'm happy to inform that they are responding to treatment. The chairperson of Ratian, affiliate of the TUC, was also attacked. His phones were taken away by the TUCs. His phones were taken away. His money was scattered with. But they are recovering. They are receiving treatment in the hospital. I would like to take you a little bit back. What was the reason why we went to Imo? The reason why we went to Imo ab initio is that the state government, under the leadership of Senator Hope Uzodimma, refused to honor a memorandum we signed. There was a memorandum that was signed by both the NLC, TUC, and the Imo state government on the 7th of May, 7 months down the line. The governor refused to honor gentleman understanding to set up a tripartite committee to dispense with all of the unfair labor practices leveled against the governor. I'm shocked that the commissioner is talking about somebody not obeying court orders. Do you resuscitate a court injunction that is dead and extend it just for your personal purposes? The injunction that was issued has elapsed. And they are coming out to tell Nigerians that they have resuscitated the injunction and have extended it. Do you resuscitate something that is dead? So his response is laughable, that a member of the NLC that is being suspended, who purportedly claims is the chairperson of the NLC in Imo State, is giving an instruction to the national headquarters. That is not correct. That is not the way the trade union movement is run. Otherwise, the reverse is the case. They get instruction. And what are the issues? The issues are very clear: unfair labor practices. And I without missing words, we know, and I know I'm on air, we know that the SA to the governor on special duties, Chinasa Nwaneri, led the talks to the Labour House under the cover of the police. Even though the police concealed their name tags, the vehicles they used to unleash the mayhem had no registration numbers. We were all at the Labour House.
How would you know that there were the police? Mr. Toro, let me jump in here.
Because they were carrying guns. They were carrying guns and they were wearing black uniforms. They are the same people that took him away. They are the same people that took
Because in response to that, Okoye Henry, the spokesperson for the Imo Police Command, said that they were there after hearing a report. In the statement that they gave, after hearing a report, officers were then deployed to the location where they then rescued your NLC president and took him for protective custody. Are you saying that was not the case?
No, that assertion is not correct. It's not correct because I was also on ground. The talks were numbering up to about 40. Then the police that were present had about 4 hillocks. And interestingly, the police that came were in black uniforms, but you cannot identify them with their name tags. And they were there. They saw when Comrade Ajero was brutalized. They saw when his pocket was ransacked. They saw when he was being manhandled and beaten like a child. And they looked the other way. the end of the day, it's the same set of policemen that were on ground that took him away.
Could you clear the air again on your being there in spite of a court order asking that you desist from being a part of that situation? And could you also explain why there is friction between the state leadership of the NLC in Imo State and the national leadership? It being such a family affair, why wasn't that cleared before you came into Imo State?
Well, I'll respond to your last question. The truth of the matter is there is a disciplinary procedure going on in respect to the erstwhile chairperson of the Imo State Council. And the way the union operates, we have rules of engagement. We have the constitution that guides the union conduct. So if in any way a representative or a leader of the union is found wanting, there are procedures. And as I speak to you, the person you showed is not the current chairperson of NLC in Imo State. He is not the chairperson in Imo State. So the issue, and in response to the issue of the injunction, you see, even from the way they spoke, you can understand clearly that they've taken a biased position. The suspended chairperson of the NLC in Imo State is saying, don't come to Imo, we are okay. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the workers are crying and languishing in unfair labor practice and the complete absence of decent work in Imo State. So the injunction has expired. The injunction that was given ab initio. Remember, in May, I told you in May, we had specifically on the 7th of May, 7 months down the line, we signed a memorandum that, yes, there are unfair labor practices in Imo State. And there was a need for people to come to the negotiating table to discuss and dispense with the issues. 7 months down the line, the governor didn't deem it fit. The Imo State government didn't deem it fit to constitute that tripartite committee to look at the issue. And we are saying we didn't travel to Imo in the hidden. We informed the public and Imo workers that we are coming, and we are coming to exercise our fundamental human right as enshrined in Article 40 and the ILO Convention 87 and 98 that guarantees your right to unionize. We weren't doing anything secretly. Everybody knew we were going to go to Imo.
Pardon the interruption now. Let's bring in the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy of Imo State is standing by, and let him also give us a response to what you're saying. Thank you for holding on, sir. Could you respond to what he said? He said that the injunction had expired and that people were duly notified of their entry into Imo State, and the other reasons he gave. What's your assertion?
Well, yes, thank you so much. I'm surprised he's talking as if he's a judge. The order of the court was as ordered by the court also, was publicized, advertised in Sun of Monday this week, in Vanguard, in Nation. It was carried on all the major national television networks, including your own. That order was given on Friday. So I don't know, he is now a judge that says the order has expired. It is current. He can go to Vanguard and find out what the judge said. So there's nothing like expiring. They knew they were served. Their lawyer was there, but they decided to defy court order. Now they're coming up with this lame excuse that is expired. At any event, if you believe that you were served with an order that has expired and by a competent court of jurisdiction, is it not their duty to challenge it in court? Is it their duty to take the laws into your hands? So that is not an excuse. However, the point is that these same people saying this are saying the major grounds, the major thing they were saying is that the government is owing more workers 22 months. Now he's talking of unfair labor practices that we had agreement that the government is owing workers 22 months salary and so on. I want him to remember that in January 2021, national leadership of NLC, when Ayuba was the NLC chairman, came to signed an agreement with the governor on a relationship of workers and labor and government. And the first sentence in that agreement is that they commended the government for paying workers as and when due, diligently, even in very hard economic times. That was in 2021. Now in 2023, they are saying the government is owing workers 22 months salary. How do you reconcile it? Now, the point is that a year or so later, Ajero became president, and he's from Imo. That was when all these problems started, when he started raking up. And we know, and we are telling them, I'm surprised they don't know, that Ajero has a political agenda. He's trying to use them to achieve that agenda. How can you come to a state where the workers, the same workers, if you say they are not legitimate, the same workers passed a vote of confidence on the governor. NUT, Nigerian Union of Teachers, endorsed the governor for paying them regularly. Nigerian Union of Pensioners endorsed the governor for a second tenure for paying them regularly. The same thing with Civil Service Union. The same thing with the local government workers. So who are they crying for? Can they cry more than the bill? The workers on ground are saying clearly that they're happy that this government has shown them tremendous goodwill, has shown them tremendous love that they have never seen it. When the Nigerian Union of Pensioners endorsed him, the national president of the Pensioners Union was there, where they said this governor is the most friendly, pension-friendly governor since the inception of Imo State. The same thing with teachers, the same thing with civil servants. So the truth is that Ajero, as somebody from Imo, has a political agenda, hidden political agenda. And unfortunately and sadly, he is using the labor union to achieve that agenda. And they're just flowing with it. He cannot be a complainant when there is no complaint. The complainants are saying, we don't have a problem. It's not just about the man who addressed the press, who is at any event. He's saying that he's not there. I don't know about labor law, but whatever happens, it is about the workers themselves. As I talk with you now about the secretariat, if you go to the secretariat, every worker is there. They said all the time they were calling them, come on. They were working at the secretariat. They said, leave us alone. We're happy. And they are forcing them. They are forcing them through intimidation, suspension, to agree that they are not happy. That is not fair now. That is not fair at all.
Okay, Commissioner, let's the TUC respond to what you've just said now, and then we come back to you for your final words. Mr. Nuhu Toro, could you respond to what the Honorable Commissioner has just said and give us your final word on the issue?
Yeah, thank you very much. Honestly, sincerely, what he has said is not correct. He's not correct because, like I told you, the guy that was showed not quite long is a suspended chairperson of NLC in Imo State, which suggests that the state government is propagating division even within the union. Don't forget, the guy that spoke is an appendage of the government house. That was also partly the reasons why he was suspended, because you cannot speak from both sides of your mouth. You cannot speak for the national and at the same time speak for Imo workers. But the workers are not ghosts. The workers came out in their numbers. If this mayhem was not unleashed on their leaders, believe you me, you will have seen them in their mammoth crowd. So invariably, what is obtainable in Imo, in my opinion, looks like a aristocracy of governance, because the governor is being autocratic in the sense that you are not allowing the workers to genuinely come out and say what their issues is. You want to strangulate them. That is not acceptable in a democratic setting. So my final parting to Imo workers is that they should be resolute. They should understand that nothing comes easy except through struggle. But this autocracy, this authoritarian tendencies will not deter us. We will ensure that both the NLC and TUC will strive to fight and protect their interests. What we have today in Imo State is a departure from decent work, a situation whereby you cannot air your views, you cannot say what the issues are, you cannot negotiate, or the government sign an understanding 7 months down the line, they are not honoring it. That is bad faith. It's not good faith.
Okay, and Mr. Nuhu Toro, thank you. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, Mr. Toro. We have to leave it there, and we thank you for being a part of the program, Mr. Nuhu Toro, General Secretary of the TUC, the Commissioner for Information of Imo State, Mr. Declan Emelumba, has been holding on. Commissioner, you heard what he said. Could you give us your final words on what he says? And he says that the Imo State government is not holding up its own end of the bargain for the Imo State workers. Is that correct?
That is absolute falsehood. In the first place, let me tell you, I would like him to produce, if you said workers are not happy and all the rest of it, if NLC at the central visit, you ought to respond to the complaints of workers. They have affiliate members, a civil service union, that's a local government workers. They have a Nigerian Union of Pensioners, they have NUT, and so on. Let him show us the complaints they led to them, because you have to be responding to them. Rather, you are imposing your will. You are telling them there's a problem. And they are telling you they even wrote to them that there is no problem. But they are insisting. And you just said something now, that the election is coming. And that is why I am surprised that they're lending their very high integrity to the personal political agenda of Ajero. Let me ask you, if you don't have political motives, whatever grievances, even with court order, if you came here, the election is barely 2 weeks away, not up to 2 weeks. Why must it be just 2 weeks or 10 days election that he must come to cause mayhem here? If you mean well, if he's not politically motivated, there must be a reason. That is the reason why they are insisting, because they want to influence the election. But unfortunately for them, it will not work, because the workers are resolutely behind this government.
We thank you, Commissioner, and we do hope and pray for a successful governorship election in Imo State. We thank you, Honorable Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Imo State, Mr. Declan Emelumba, who's joined us, as well as Mr. Nuhu Toro, the General Secretary of the TUC.
Thank you so much.
Many thanks.
Thank you so much for having me.
Elsewhere, a coalition of lawyers and human rights activists under the aegis of Lawyers and Activists for Governance have raised concern over the state of security in Kogi State ahead of the November 11 governorship and state assembly elections. The group, at a news conference in Abuja, alleged that some politicians blackmailed security agencies in the state. They are calling on President Bola Tinubu and the heads of the security agencies to pay particular attention to Kogi and to mobilize more security personnel ahead of the elections. And finally, ahead of the November 11 governorship election in Imo State, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has warned all officers and men of the 34 Artillery Brigade, Imo State, to shun any action or activity that will undermine the smooth process of the elections. Addressing officers and men of the 34 Artillery Brigade during his visit, he says no officer should allow himself to be used by politicians to cause chaos during the election, as anyone guilty of this action will be court-martialed, while urging the soldiers to continue to step up the fight against banditry and other forms of criminality. He says the leadership of the Nigerian army will continue to ensure that their welfare remains a priority. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Thanks for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.